Okay, now the Agriculture Minister David Littleproud is holding a media conference right now. Let's take a listen in.
Being cruel to those dairy farmers out there, giving them false hope that we could re-regulate an industry. I've got to be honest, I'd rather sit here and look them in the eye and say that's not going to happen than to play political stunts with their livelihoods. And when you talk about political stunts, can I just finish off with the one that Mr Fitzgibbon has called out around a shareholding that I have in Woolworths. 25 shares, about $750 worth, I understand. I think a dividend a year equates to around $15, from what I understand. It was a dividend reinvestment that was held over after I tried to sell these shares some time ago. Look, if that is the level of contribution to the debate, is around trying to besmirch my character on fighting for dairy farmers, then really, is he fit to be here? Let me say, I've got shares in Telstra and big banks, and let me tell you, I've had a stink with all of them. And I'm not afraid to have a stink with them because I'm going to support the people that I'm here to represent. I'm here to represent Agriculture Australia, and I'll continue to do it. So look, I've made all avenues available to sell these 25 shares, and you know what? Even to appease Mr Fitzgibbon and the Labor Party and this tawdry little attempt to make a sideshow out of this, I'll donate it to the Western Queensland Drought Appeal. Do something honest and reliable about the use of that money. I mean, let's get above this. Australians are sick of the politics. They're sick of the games down here. They want outcomes. And that's what I'm about. And if they want to carry on with that nonsense, well, good luck to them, because they're not fit to govern. I'm going to get on with the job.
By selling your shares, is that an admission that it was perhaps inappropriate to be calling for a boycott of Coles and Aldi when you held your shares?
I think that's a long bow. Let's be honest. 25 shares, $750. It's not at the top of my mind. And in fact, I probably cost Woolworths a fair bit of money by putting a blowtorch on them and increasing their costs, which I don't give a rat's about. So let's be honest about this. I mean, these are the titbits and the titillation that, you know, doesn't improve the standing of this place. I mean, if someone thinks that I've made a decision in going hard at supermarkets on $750, you know, wake up to yourself.
Should you have disclosed those shares though prior to criticising?
Well, they're on my register. I've disclosed them. What more do you want me to do? Do you think you predicate your decisions on $750? Get real. I mean, is this the level of debate we're going to get into? I thought this is about dairy farmers. I mean, 25 shares in Woolworths is what you want to sit here and talk about. This is why people get upset with this place and the Fourth Estate sometimes, because we're voting.
You've got a dairy code mandatory coming in a year. Have you done enough for dairy farmers?
Well, let me say, I got the ACCC report on the 30th of April, and I went to industry and asked them to tell me what they wanted, and they didn't come back to me. In the end, I got Jack awaiting. I called them into my office. I said, you've got 2 weeks to tell me what you want. You either tell me you want one, or if you say nothing, you're going to get what I give you. To their credit, they led. They came back and said they wanted one. We've put in place all the framework to now commence that. The last consultation piece will be finalised in the coming couple of weeks. After we do that, there's obviously legislative parameters that need to be put in place, and that takes time. But let me say, it's not starting until 2020, and while the opposition say that's because we're too slow, let me tell you, that has to align with contracts and the growing season. So for them to have this line that we're going too slow on it, it's actually a methodical and sensible way of doing it. It's what the industry asked for. It's about making sure that we get the regulatory impact statement so there's no unintended consequences. It's a diverse industry across every state, and every state has different idiosyncrasies. So we had to be careful.
Minister, why won't you consider a floor price? Because some dairy farmers do think that the idea has merit.
Look, the market's been deregulated for many years now. The reality is governments only interfere in marketplaces when there is market failure. Now, we got an ACCC report that told us there was market failure between farm gate and processor, and that's what we're acting on. I respect the ACCC. I think they do a great job. I think the report is technically brilliant. In practical application, I think it falls short. I think the supermarkets, as it did say in the ACCC report, that they also had some skin in the game in this. I think there's some work to be done with them, and I think the Access to Justice bill that the National Party is going to support is a big step towards that. We put in place legislation before that, but it was too costly for people to be able to take advantage of, and now this Access to Justice Bill will help. The Grocery Code of Conduct is coming up. I think we need to look at that carefully to put a framework and environment that supports all sides of the market chain.
But how do you argue against an idea that could provide more money for farmers?
Well, that would be taking us back to a regulated marketplace. And let me say, we've got in place trade agreements that have helped take the agricultural industry over the last 8 years from around $34 billion to $60 billion. That's because we've taken the step of trade liberalisation. And while that's been hard for some to adjust to, it's been a good thing for this country. So let me put it in simple terms. We're a nation of 25 million people. If we produce enough food for 75 million people. So if we don't engage the world, if we don't trade with the world, we don't have agricultural commodities across the country because there's no demand for our product. So it's tough, and we've got to do more work on those trade agreements to get better access for dairy in particular. But to go back in time is not going to help, and not only help the agricultural industry as a whole, it won't help the dairy industry. Very good. Thanks, guys.
From Parliament House in Canberra, the Agriculture Minister David Littleproud there. We only came in on the end of his opening statement, but it sounded like he was dismissing the Labor plan announced this morning in relation to the dairy industry, introducing a minimum price for dairy farmers.